Drawing from Imagination, Lesson 3, Imagination by Design. Before starting this lesson, please have the following materials ready: sketch pad, mechanical pencil or number 2 writing pencil, and ebony pencil, pencil sharpener, and eraser. And sharpen your number 2 and ebony pencils before the lesson and as regularly as you need to throughout the lesson. Subject is lines, circles, and ellipses. Keep track of those assignments. Do each exercise in order in your sketchbook or sketchpad. Change pages for each exercise and use as many pages as you need, but on each page, write your name and the number of the exercise, for example, I-3A. Also, after doing the assignments, remember to take photos of each page of drawings. The first lessons in this series introduced line drawing through imaginative imagery that emerged out of doodles and in response to words and music. Now you'll learn new skills with line and be introduced to the element shape. Specifically, you'll learn how to draw straight lines, round circles, and oval ellipses. These elements obviously aren't imaginative in themselves, but you'll learn to use them to draw all kinds of things from imagination. Here, however, we'll use them abstractly to make imaginative designs. In fact, we call the creative thinking you'll do in these assignments imagination by design. Let's start with lines. Exercise I-3A. Practice and design with lines, circles, and ellipses. Time, 3 sequences of 12 minutes each, so 36 minutes total. Materials, pencils, sketch pad. Subject, lines, circles, and ellipses. You've heard it before and probably even said it. Whenever someone thinks they can't draw, they say automatically, I can't even draw a straight line without a ruler. Well, lots of very creative artists can't draw straight lines freehand either. Anyway, you won't be able to say that anymore because in this lesson and the ones to follow, you'll learn how to do just that and more. We'll warm up by practicing lines, circles, and ellipses, then use them to generate different design ideas. To begin, sit in a relaxed posture and hold your pencil loosely in your hand, as in the video. It may come as a surprise. Drawing straight lines does, of course, need a certain degree of control, which may be associated with holding the pencil tightly and drawing with a stiff arm and a tense shoulder. But these actually can impede straight line drawing while holding the pencil in a looser fashion and drawing with a more relaxed, natural movement can make drawing straight lines easier. For one thing, holding your arm stiffly makes the line arc due to the ball and socket joint of your shoulder. To actually draw straight lines requires flexibility in the shoulder and in the elbow and wrist, a lot like making straight bow strokes in the violin. Let's try those movements, drawing in the air before putting lines on paper. With eyes closed, draw a series of lines in the air that feel more or less straight. Send lines in all different directions: horizontal, vertical, diagonal. Try starting left and going right, then the opposite. Draw some from top to bottom, others from bottom to top, etc. Make long lines and short lines however you please. After a while, repeat certain lines several times in the air, trying to make them straighter each time. Especially notice if your arm arcs slightly instead of going straight. If so, adjust your motion so the line starts to feel straighter. Okay, start. And stop. Now, try it on paper. As you switch to paper, don't change how you hold your pencil. Keep it fairly loose in your hand and let yourself draw with your arm relaxed. At first, continue to work freely and playfully, drawing lines again and again in every direction and length, not worrying about how straight they actually are. Then gradually try to make some lines closer to being straight. If you're having trouble controlling the pencil, rest the tip of your little finger on the paper to steady your hand. In fact, you could even follow the edge of that finger as a guide to drawing straighter horizontal or vertical lines. Like you did in the air, draw these lines over and over, each time adjusting them so they get straighter and straighter. Start with lighter lines and draw them darker as you correct them. As you do, keep in mind that the definition of a straight line is the shortest distance between points. To drive this idea home, do some lines with a definite starting point and end at a definite ending point, trying to keep the line as straight as you can all the way. When you've done some that look okay, hold the edge of another sheet of paper up to them and see how close they are to being really straight. Then try again with a clearer idea of a straight line in mind. Okay, start. and stop. As you drew the warm ups, perhaps you noticed that without really thinking about it, you started making patterns with your lines. For the next 5 minutes, let that happen more intentionally. First, go back to patterns that just happened and build on them. Then try picturing patterns before drawing them. Stay relaxed while you explore design ideas, but still try to keep your lines fairly straight. Here are some sample designs with straight lines. Don't copy them, but use them to spark your own ideas. Then use your ideas as starting points for other ideas. Vary the lines in different ways, long and short, at different angles, etc. Also change their quality, thick and thin, light and dark, etc. Try to come up with 10 different design ideas in 5 minutes. Okay, start. and stop. Now change the page and we'll do the same kind of practice and design drawing circles. Once again, we'll warm up with air drawing. Start in the air making circular motions. First, small circles with your wrist and hand, then larger circles with your elbow. Notice which of these feel most comfortable. In each case, try to keep the idea of a perfect circle in mind. In mathematical terms, a circle is a shape in which all points of the circumference are equal distance from the center. So, just as you keep endpoints in mind when drawing straight lines, keep the center in mind as you rotate your arm around the circle. Feel if the line flattens out, comes to a point, or seems to be making more oval like shapes. If you can feel the difference, that's good because we'll be doing ellipses later. But for now, just draw the circle. Okay, start. And stop. Now transfer those same motions to drawing circles on paper. Start by drawing repeated circles in the air above the paper to get the feeling of real roundness, then lower your hand until the pencil just touches the paper. Keep the movement flowing freely. Draw several circles all on top of each other. Notice as you do if the shape becomes flat or oval and correct it as you draw, gradually getting closer to a true circle. After doing several of these multiple circles, do some more economically. Start in the air each time, then draw just 2 or 3 overlapping circles, still correcting as you go. When you've got one you think is really round, test it out. Take a piece of paper, mark off the diameter, and fold the paper to locate the exact center of the circle. Next, spin the paper around the center point and mark off points along the circumference. Then draw another circle freehand, connecting the dots. Okay, start. and stop. Now that you have a pretty good idea of how to draw circles, let's play with circle designs. Here are some sample designs with circles to give you some ideas. Notice how they vary in the size of the circles and their placement. See what kinds of variations you can come up with. Again, aim for 10 ideas in 5 minutes and see how different you can make them. Okay, start. and stop. Last but not least, we'll draw ellipses. Ellipses vary in eccentricity from almost round to almost flat. The greater the difference between an ellipse's height and its width, the greater its degree of eccentricity. Circles are, of course, the same width all the way around. The width is called the diameter. Eccentric ellipses have axes instead of diameters. The long side extends along the major axis, and the short side extends along the minor axis. We'll study these and other technical aspects of ellipses later. For now, just remember that, like circles, ellipses consist of continuously curving lines around their axes with no pointed ends or flat spots. Ellipses vary in three ways: size, angle, and eccentricity. Try doing some ellipses in the air, varying them in the three different ways, but always keeping them curving. Once you start the motion, go around several times, keeping the idea of an even, flowing oval in mind. Draw lots of different ellipses in the air, remembering to change their size, angles, and eccentricities. Okay, start. And stop. Next, we'll test your ellipse drawing skills on paper. As with circles, practice drawing each ellipse several times in the air before putting the line down on paper. Once you do, keep the momentum of the curving line going by doing several ellipses, one on top of the other, correcting the shape each time by rounding out flat spots and points, trying to get closer and closer to the ideal. There's no easy formula to keep in mind when drawing ellipses as there is with circles and straight lines, but it might help to remember that an ellipse is what a circle looks like when it's seen at an angle. Look at these examples of circles as they turn in space. Notice what the shape looks like. No matter how eccentric the ellipse is, you never see a pointed end or a flat spot, just a continual curving line until the edge of the circle lines up directly with your eye, then it looks like a straight line. Okay, start. And stop. Now that you've got the feeling of drawing ellipses, develop some design ideas using ellipses in different ways. Like you did with straight lines and circles, use these ideas as inspirations, but develop your own. One good idea could evolve into several, and even mistakes might be turned into new design ideas like turning lemons into lemonade. Okay, start. and stop. Great work! Now that you've started to develop these skills and creative processes, you'll find lots of ways to use them. Before you quit for the day, check that each page of drawings is labeled with your name and the number of the exercise, and be sure you've taken a photo of each page of drawings for each assignment.